Welcome to Alimentary, the podcast series where you'll not only learn about your amazing body, how it works, and of course why nutrition is so important, but also pick up some simple recipes, lifestyle tips, and tweaks to support you to influence your health in a positive way. In this short episode of Alimentary, we'll delve deep into the mineral calcium to find out just how important it is. While we know that it plays a fundamental role in the building of our bones, its influence actually goes far beyond, and it is also vital for other functions. It's of equal importance to both men and women, and you might be surprised to find out just how many foods contain calcium and how easy it is to consume your RDA, your recommended daily amount, from a balanced diet, even if you're dairy intolerant like I am. Later in the episode, I'll give you examples of everyday dairy and plant foods which can make up your required intake. So, what is calcium? Well, it's the fifth most abundant element in the Earth's crust. Calcium was among the first substances known to be essential in the diet. What that means is when something's essential, our bodies can't make it, so we have to consume it. So you probably have heard of essential amino acids as well, in protein. So we must consume calcium in our diet. We store the majority of it in our skeleton, hence the focus on bone health, but it's also essential for other aspects of our health, as we said. So it plays a vital role in muscle function, heart health, hormonal balance, nerve transmission, and even blood clotting. It helps us to maintain a well-functioning body. Now, it has also been noted that calcium in our cells can promote lipolysis, which is the breakdown of fats into fatty acids, which, is important for other aspects of our health too, but it may help when losing weight. So we should really think about calcium's importance in terms of our overall health, in addition to preventing osteoporosis in later life. Just as an aside, for information about other essential nutrients and exercise for your bones in particular, you can check out my episode about bone health, and I'll put a link in the show notes below. So it goes without saying that calcium is essential in early life too. If we consider the example of bone health, children need calcium to ensure that they reach their full potential adult height. It should be noted, though, that I read a study in the Journal of American Academy of Pediatrics, which concluded that the highest benefit for children's bone density was actually physical activity. So this leads to the conclusion that we should really consider that making sure that children spend time outdoors, running around and off their devices is really equally as important as making sure that they consume calcium in their diet. General symptoms of deficiency can include frequent fractures, blood clotting problems, chronically low blood calcium, muscle cramps, twitches, and symptoms of hypertension or high blood pressure. So how can we consume our calcium, and how much do we actually need? Well, according to the HSE, we should be able to get all the calcium we need by eating a varied and balanced diet. Dairy products are the most concentrated source, but a wide variety of plant foods also contain calcium for those of us that are dairy intolerant. So, like other nutrients, calcium works in synergy with other vitamins and minerals. Adequate magnesium and vitamin K consumption can enhance how we use calcium. And I think we're all aware that to absorb calcium, we also need vitamin D. Very few foods naturally contain vitamin D, some oily fish and egg yolks, and often food is fortified with it. Sun exposure is obviously the best source, but obviously we need to mitigate our risks there with not overexposing ourselves and burning. Not too much of a problem in Ireland, and at least through September to March, the sun is too low in the sky, so we likely need to supplement. But as always, get advice when it comes to supplement for your own particular needs. While some nutrients enhance calcium absorption, there are also things which can inhibit or decrease our absorption. So oxalates and phytates are natural compounds found in food sources, and they can also be produced by our bodies. Now, they can bind to minerals like calcium, and so make it more difficult for it to be absorbed. Now, these can often be mitigated by, for example, soaking some of these foods, and they're generally only a problem when we accumulate too many of them. And a varied diet and a healthy gut can actually help us to avoid the buildup. But I will dedicate the next short episode of the podcast to oxalate and phytates with more information on these, just to make sure that you're not nervous of some of these oxalate or phytate foods, and just to know when you need to maybe take care. If someone has issues with fat malabsorption, this may also decrease the amount of calcium that our body can make use of, and some medications might also interact. So it's really important to listen to your doctor or pharmacist if they give you advice about whether or not to have your meds, with meals or without them. In addition to calcium working with other nutrients, it's also regulated by hormones. So, again, illustrating that everything in our body works as a team, and there's no one hero or one essential nutrient. Balance is key. Just some examples of how the hormones regulate the calcium. If we don't consume enough and our blood serum levels fall too low, the parathyroid secretes the parathyroid hormone to take calcium down from the bones or resorb the calcium from the bones. If our blood levels are too high, a hormone which is secreted by the thyroid called calcitonin, it actually will lower the blood calcium, so it stops the breakdown or resorption of the calcium from the bones. And we mentioned vitamin D as a nutrient which helps calcium to be absorbed. Vitamin D is a vitamin, but it also acts, its form calcitriol acts as a hormone, and that's basically how it increases our absorption of calcium. So how much calcium should we consume on an average daily basis? Well, our needs vary across age groups. So children, adolescents, women who are pregnant or lactating, and older adults, may have different requirements. A balanced diet and, if necessary, a consultation with a healthcare professional can help tailor calcium intake to individual needs, in case of any special requirements. But just in general, the recommended daily intake varies even in different territories, because each territory applies different methods to establish calcium requirements and takes into account the lifestyle of the population, and the lifestyle we know determines how much of the calcium we can ingest and actually make use of. We can have habits in our lifestyle which actually waste calcium. So, for example, diets high in animal protein, salt, caffeine. Um, if you have low sun exposure, or so low vitamin D, or low physical activity, so sedentary lifestyle. So in those cases, you need to take in more calcium. If I just give you an example of adults over 24, to show the difference across different territories, the UK would recommend 700 milligrams per day, and the USA actually recommends 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams per day. I'm going to go through the Irish requirements, but I'll put a link to the tables for the UK and the USA in the show notes. So in Ireland, children up to 10 years of age would be recommended 800 milligrams per day. From 11 to 17 years of age, it would be recommended 1,200 milligrams per day. Adults 18 plus, 800 milligrams per day. And pregnant and lactating women, 1,200 milligrams per day. So the differences really, are another indicator of the importance of lifestyle. So that sun exposure, the vitamin D, and activity. And these all have an impact on our ability to build strong bones, and obviously the absorb our calcium, which helps the other parts of our health as well. So it's important to probably say that higher intakes of calcium, so if you want to like supplement loads or take in loads of calcium, if you have those calcium wasting habits in your life, it's not necessarily going to translate to lower risk of bone fractures, so it's really important to be aware of that and not just focus on the calcium intake. So let's talk through what a daily intake might look like for both dairy and non-dairy sources. By the way, I've posted an accompanying blog on my website, and this has a list of the non-dairy calcium-containing foods with the amount of calcium per serving, for anyone who's dairy intolerant. So you can print it off as a PDF, and from that, make sure that you include the ones that you like in your store cupboard, and you can pick a variety from that list. So dairy first. Dairy sources include cheese, milk, and yogurt, which I'm sure you already know. 1 cup of milk, 2 slices of cheddar cheese, and 2 tablespoons of natural or Greek yogurt will bring you up to just over your 800 milligrams per day. Plant sources include dark green, leafy, and cruciferous vegetables such as kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, bok choy, cabbage, and cauliflower. Almonds are a good source of calcium. Sesame seeds, soybeans, tofu, dried figs, they'd be among the best plant sources. But as I say, you can refer to the list as well. Now, sardines are an excellent source. 50 grams would provide approximately 340 milligrams of calcium, which is just over 40% of your daily intake. We're probably not going to eat sardines every day of the week, but they would be great to include once a week for their omega-3 content too. So I've picked some everyday plant sources which would be easily included as an example, to how to make up your minimum RDA. So let's say with breakfast, you could have a tablespoon of sesame seeds, a tablespoon of chia seeds, and 1 cup of almond milk. You could add that to a porridge or an overnight oats, or even a low sugar cereal like buckwheat flakes. Obviously, add in some berries there too for some great antioxidants and vitamin C. For a snack or a dessert, you could combine 2 tablespoons of soy yogurt with a tablespoon of flax seeds and a small orange, and then have 3 dried figs on the side of that. At dinner, as part of your half a plate of vegetables, you could have 4 spears of broccoli with 1 cup of shredded cabbage and 1 cup of cauliflower. And that will all bring you to just over, again, your 800 milligrams of calcium daily intake. Now, of course, people who consume dairy will be taking in plant sources too, so you can mix it up, and as I say, do check out the list on the website. Now, when or why might you need to consider calcium supplements? Well, even if you eat a healthy, balanced diet, you might be finding it difficult to absorb your calcium for those, some of those calcium wasting lifestyle factors. So, people who are lactose intolerant and who eat a mostly processed food diet, while you're learning about whole foods and making the changeover, it may be beneficial to supplement with calcium. Pregnant and lactating women, the elderly, people who have a high caffeine and alcohol and animal protein diet, a high protein diet. I suppose I'm talking about something like Atkins, if you consume large amounts of sodium, this can cause your body to excrete more calcium before you've had a chance to absorb it. If you're on long-term treatment with corticosteroids, if you have any bowel or digestive diseases which decrease your ability to absorb nutrients in general, including calcium, so any IBD or celiac disease, and obviously in menopause, women might need to supplement with calcium too, but that will be part of your protocol with your GP, when all your bloods and tests are taken, definitely chat through, even if you're going, the more natural route, always chat your protocol through with your GP. So in any of these situations, calcium supplements might help you to meet your calcium requirements, but definitely, as I said, talk through with your GP or healthcare practitioner about which form and how much you need. And they can take into account any medications that you're on and any health issues that you might have. Now, I'd always recommend getting good food-based supplement brand as well. Our body must be able to absorb the calcium for it to be effective. All varieties of calcium supplements are better absorbed when taken in smaller doses. Again, unless you have been otherwise advised by your GP, in particular with particular health issues. Most forms are better with meals, but calcium citrate is the one form which is absorbed equally well when taken with or without food. So that would be recommended for individuals with maybe low stomach acid, maybe more common in people over 50 or people who are taking acid blockers, or people who have inflammatory bowel disease or absorption disorders. Now, there's 4 forms of calcium that you'll see on supplements, when you check the label. So calcium carbonate has 40% elemental calcium. Elemental calcium means the actual amount of calcium in the supplement, so the amount that your body can absorb. Calcium citrate, which we mentioned, is 21% elemental calcium. Calcium gluconate has 9% elemental calcium, and calcium lactate is 13% elemental calcium. Now, in addition, some calcium supplements are combined with other vitamins and minerals. For instance, they might also contain vitamin D or magnesium. So it's good to check the ingredient list to see which form of calcium your supplement is. So, whether you should have it with meals or whether that's necessary, but also what other nutrients it contains. So, if, for example, you're taking other supplements which contain vitamin D, like a multivitamin or a fish oil, you need to add up how much vitamin D you're taking in altogether to make sure that you're not overdoing it. And again, I know I'm like a broken record, but get advice and keep your GP in the loop, especially if you have any health issues or are on any medications and you're supplementing on an ongoing basis. Make sure that your GP is aware. Taking high doses of calcium, so more than 1,500 milligrams a day, in supplement form could lead to stomach pain and diarrhea, or even gas, constipation, or bloating. Generally, calcium carbonate might be the most constipating form. Now, while dairy is a great concentrated source, if you can take it, it might seem that it takes a bit more effort to take in your daily requirement from plants. But these amazing plants are also packed full of antioxidants, fiber, vitamins, and minerals, which benefit our health in so many other ways, in addition to supplying our calcium requirement. So if you're not already including them, just start with one and build up over a few weeks, because we need to build up our fiber intake gently too, so as to not shock our gut by going from 0 to hero overnight. And just remember that your bones, your heart, your hormones, your muscles, your nerves, they'll all thank you and serve you well when you feed them right. So the store cupboard staple for this episode is a source of calcium, and it's sesame seeds. Now, these seeds may be tiny, but they're actually nutrient dense. They are packed full of protein, amino acids, methionine, and tryptophan helps us to feel good. And obviously, we need all our amino acids as building blocks. Lignans, which are super antioxidants, so help to prevent damage to our cells. They contain fiber, which our gut is very happy about. Our gut loves fiber. Monounsaturated fats, which our cells need, so they're the healthy fats. They contain vitamins B1 and B2, which are good for our central nervous system. Magnesium, which is important for so many functions in our body, but including, helping to relax our muscles and our mood. Iron, which we need for energy. Zinc for healing. And of course, calcium. So, as I mentioned, they're tiny little seeds, and they can literally be added into practically anything. So I would put a tablespoon on my breakfast. So that might be porridge or overnight oats, or even if I was having buckwheat flakes or NutriBreak, something like that. You can pop a tablespoon on. You can sprinkle a tablespoon over your salad. If I was having soup, I sprinkle a mix of sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and pumpkin seeds on top. Sweet chili chicken is another dish that I'll add some sesame seeds to with noodles. You can toast them as well. They're lovely toasted to sprinkle over your salads or your stir fries. And also, if I was making a crumble, I make the topping with some oats and then loads of ground almonds and some sesame seeds too. So if you're ever making hummus and you use tahini is actually made from sesame seed. It's like a sesame seed paste, You could add it to your homemade granola or a trail mix. Really, you can, as I said, you can sprinkle it onto anything. Also, if you have any fussy eaters in the house who aren't mad keen on seeds and nuts and things like that, you can pop it into some dishes and they'll hardly even notice. So hopefully you'll pop a good big bag of sesame seeds into your shopping trolley this week. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I just wanted to clarify that the podcast is for informational purposes only and does not substitute professional care from a doctor or trained health professional, nor does it constitute medical advice or services if you're in a position to need either. However, if you find it interesting, you can subscribe to make sure you don't miss future episodes or sign up for my newsletter on nih.gov.